For my personal history research task, I decided to interview my grandfather, Brian Tucker. At age 82, happily married with 7 children, Brian currently resides on the sunny Gold Coast of Queensland where he enjoys his retirement, far different from where Brian's life began. Brian was born in Newport, Wales and was the youngest of 3 boys. From a young age, he loved football and dreamed of playing professionally and representing his country. In his interview, Brian stated that he loved Wales and still does, to the point that to this day he still considers himself a Welshman more than an Australian. When I asked Brian what the culture of Wales was like, he said, "People had a certain honesty about them. The men worked hard and provided for their families, while the women raised their children." He also stated that people from Wales were very proud and loyal to their country. However, at age 17, Brian's life took a dramatic change. After the war, his father, who was a hard-working coal miner, decided that it was best for his family to pack up their lives and move to Australia. By doing so, they were part of the £10 POMs. The £10 POMs was a scheme created by the British government aimed at assisting British residents to move to Australia. The scheme was sold to the British people as the Australian dream and an idyllic place to live and work, at the cost of £10 to board the ship to Australia. According to Hamilton and Thompson 2005, 45% of British migrants were assisted by the government to move to Australia. This was aimed at rebuilding infrastructure in Australia post-war. When arriving in Australia, my grandfather Brian quickly found a place to live at Kurnell in the Sutherland Shire, New South Wales. He said he had no trouble finding work as a young man and almost immediately started working for a company building car parts. His hard work ethic and hands-on ability passed down to him by his father served him well in Australia. Brian agreed with me that the hard-working Welsh culture influenced Australian culture. With this behind him, he was able to create an income to support himself and not long after met his wife Norma and together they raised 7 children. Through interviewing my grandfather Brian, I began to understand his point about the people of Wales being hard workers and how that helped make up the culture of modern Australia. With this in mind, I asked him how he thought Wales has had an impact on Australia's culture as a nation. He replied by saying, "Due to the Welsh being hard workers, they played a role in developing the term Aussie battler, which basically means to be a hard worker. This term has helped define Australian culture to the rest of the world." According to Thompson, 2017, it was people like my grandfather who filled the need of a growing Australian society. With Brian's hard-working effort and skills to be able to work with his hands, he and many others helped shape and build a workplace which still exists in Australia today. In conclusion, through conducting this interview and research of literature, I believe that the Welsh culture has brought a sense of hard workmanship and honesty to the Australian culture. To this day, this is still something that Australia prides itself on as a developing multicultural society.